Well, hello there, and you join us here today to talk about some affordable watches, some of the cheapest around. Let's get into it. So Tom and I have actually fallen out over the weekend, a dispute over a bill. So we don't want to talk to each other anymore, so we brought in a guest to help us. Miguel, SoCal Watch Reviews, how are you doing?
Hey, doing fantastic. Thank you so much for the invite.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. If you're not familiar with Miguel, go check out his YouTube channel, link in the description below. Go click it, go watch everything, go click all the subscribe buttons, and yeah, guaranteed fun for everyone. I wanted to bring you into this conversation, Miguel, because Tom and I have been discussing value watches for a while, and I thought it was about time, because he likes not spending very much money at all. On the other hand, I like buying my Richard Milles and Patek Philippe's, and we thought we'd bring in a bit of a mediator here to even that conversation out. So you're a fan of the value watch brands, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love everything from Rolex and the high-end stuff to all the micro brand stuff, and that's what I'll be discussing here today to hopefully showcase some really cool watches that don't get a lot of media attention. So yeah.
And Tom, your collection, which has been slowly growing over the last few years, is packing some real affordable heat.
Yeah, exactly. I think, it's where it's at, isn't it? That's what the majority of people buy. You say, are affordable watches worth it? Or, can you trust affordable watches? It's like, I would say the opposite thing. Are luxury watches worth it?
Great argument.
So, Miguel, what got you into affordable watches? And don't just say being poor.
Being poor. No, honestly, it's what it is, right? So when you get into watch collecting at first, $100 is a lot of money for a watch. It just doesn't make any sense. So in reality, that's kind of what it was, not wanting to spend a lot of money because I just didn't see the value. And it wasn't until I really got heavy into watch collecting and brainwashed, frankly, by YouTube channels and the media that I was like, oh, I really want a Rolex. I really want a Tudor. I really want an Omega. But then when you really start kind of studying these things, the law of diminishing returns really takes effect, and you're like, well, wait a minute, right? There's only a few brands out there like Patek, Rolex, AP, and some models that really hold that ROI. But other than that, I mean, you're pretty much going to take a bath on a lot of these. So that's where the micro brand space or more affordable things, think Seiko, Orient, really kind of come in. And that's what I want to talk about. And that's kind of where I started as well, right? With Seiko. Seiko's been kind of my gateway drug into this whole thing. So
it's definitely what Miguel says about diminishing returns, because I think a Seiko is something that it's something you wear every day. People talk about the beta watch, and that's going to be an affordable watch. But what's funny is that it's a beta watch because it can handle it. You can wear it every day. It can get knocks, it can get bumps, and it will still be fine. But yeah, affordable all day long. That's your bread and butter daily wears, isn't it? That's where you got to be at.
Miguel, now you have a Rolex.
I have 3.
You have affordable watches too. So how do you feel? Like, one Rolex versus the equivalent pile of micro brands and affordable watches?
So I will say this, man. So number one, affordable is means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, right? So $100 is affordable to a lot of us. $1,000 could be affordable to a lot of people, whatever. So everybody's different. Let's kind of get that out of the way. And also watches, you don't need them, right? You got our phones, we got other things. So even $100 watch is a luxury watch. But I will say this, that, and I don't know if it's a cultural thing for me, maybe, but the harder you work, the more you kind of have to reward yourself. And I see this whole thing with Rolex. I never saw myself owning a Rolex, right? Especially growing up with not a lot of money and hardly any food on our fridge. I never really saw myself in this kind of position, but I've work hard, and when I bought the first Rolex, it felt good, and it wasn't about showing off to anybody else. It was about feeling good, right? And every time I wear it, I'm reminded of the hard work, and it's not about showing off. Now, I still enjoy affordable watches because I love watches in general. I don't care how much they cost, but I'll give you a quick story. So my dad, I don't have a great relationship with them, but we hardly see each other. But when we did a few years ago, we hadn't seen each other in a few years, right? And he was wearing a Bulova, this Accutron, a railroad approved kind of gold tone pullover, and I was already into watches, so I said, hey, what are you wearing? Right, that's kind of cool. He's like, hey, you know what, funny story is when I was married to your mom, they're divorced, back in the 70s, I picked this off, I bought it from a flea market here in LA, and I bought it for $1. It was all beat up. I bought it, I fixed it, I took it to a watchmaker, and I've been wearing it since. And I know you're into watches, so he took it off his wrist and he's like, it's yours now, and, you know, pass it on to the next generation. And that meant so much, because if he had an Apple Watch, he wouldn't be wearing it, right? So the fact that he's wearing this watch from the 70s that he cherished and had for years and now gave it to me meant so much to me. And that's what these watches, whether it's a quartz, mechanical, whatever, that's the difference between that and a digital watch. You know what I mean? And it didn't matter the price point. It wasn't a Rolex, it's a Bulova, and I cherish it even more than my Rolexes because of the story behind it and the provenance of it.
God, it's a little dusty in here. No more sad stories, Miguel.
All right.
So here's a question for you, Miguel. If you had a pile, say 10 micro brand watches that equate to the equivalent price of one of your Rolexes, which one do you think is giving you the most enjoyment and value?
Oh man, well 10 is hard, but I picked 3, and the reason I picked 3 is because I actually know the owners of these brands, and I see the value that they want to bring to the community, and also how great the watches are for the money. So I'll start off with like Vario is what I'm wearing on my wrist, and you can check them out. Vario, this is the Empire, right? So this is sub $300. This is a Seiko Mecha Quartz Movement chronograph, sapphire crystal, sub 40 millimeters. Some of the best straps in the business, well, as far as like affordable stuff. Another one, the MAS. So this is MAS is Matthew and Son. This is the Aquila, 40 millimeters. It's a pilot's watch, stainless steel, sapphire crystal, Miyota 9000 series for like sub $400. And lastly, this guy just started his brand. He came on my podcast, and this is the Canopy Wake ones. They made 250 pieces of stainless steel, 250 pieces of the PVD. What you get for sub $1,000 is a dive watch. This fantastic 316L stainless steel, sapphire crystal, the works, ceramic bezel, unique design, right? It borrows some design cues from other places, but incredible watches. I'll send you the link so you can let people know. But yeah, those bring a lot of value to the consumer, and a lot of joy, because a lot of times we're so focused on value, you need to forget about that and just, does it put a smile on your face? It doesn't matter if it's quartz or mechanical. Does it put a smile on your face? Do you want to wear it? When you look at your watch box, do you pick it over the other watches? And the answer is yes for me, right? A lot of times I pick these over the Tudor, the Rolex, whatever, just because they speak to me that day.
But it's very interesting what you're saying about being able to pick and choose, and having an affordable collection means you can have more watches to pick and choose from. It's not just the same watch. And I think that also means that when you have your higher value pieces, you can put them to one side and as my mum might say, keep them for best. So you can appreciate that in small quantities and not ruin it. I think if you drove a Ferrari to work every day as part of your commute, it would end up just becoming tiresome. Here's a question for you, Miguel. How cheap is too cheap when it comes to a nice watch?
I mean, honestly, you could pick up a Timex for $50, and I think it's an amazing watch. Or Casio. Casio's amazing when it comes to value. So it depends on what you're talking about. I try to stay away from the homage watches. I know a lot of guys are going to come with their pitchforks and come at me. Well, how dare you say that about Pagani design and San Martin? And I just think that, you know, even though they're well built, right? And something that you see on paper is different than what you actually have in your hand. So on paper, it could be like, oh, sapphire crystal and this and that, but you get it in hand, you're like, this feels kind of crappy. A Timex doesn't, right? A Timex feels like, man, this is actually pretty good. It has a quartz movement, right? This and that. But yeah, I don't think price really has anything to do with it. But I would say, I don't know, $50, $40, you could pick up Casios for a lot less than that. So yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a mix of everything for everyone. I recently picked up a Casio World Timer that I think is about $30, and it was great. Absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed it.
Well, yeah, I think if you don't stray too far from the path, if you stick to brand names that you know, I think it's quite hard to find a watch that's bad. Do you know what I mean? Usually they keep time.
Oh, for sure. And I think there's a lot of value, especially the new collectors don't know this, because I didn't know this. You don't even think of like a pre-owned watch, and you guys specialize in that at Watchfinder. But when you're coming into this hobby, you're like, a used watch, that's kind of disgusting. Like, people wear it on their wrist. Like, I'm not gonna get a pre-owned watch. That's disgusting. But it's like, no, you clean it, you take care of it. Well, it's a whole different ball game, and there's so much value to be had in the pre-owned market. And you could pick up. That's what it doesn't make sense to me. Some people go, well, I'm going to pick up a Pagani design or even a Seiko, right, for $300, $400. It's like, look at the pre-owned market for like vintage stuff. And I know that's scary, but I mean, Omegas, there, you could get lucky and find those. Universal Genève. I mean, there's just so many things that it depends what you like and where you want to go. What route do you want to go into? But, you know, so much value in vintage and pre-owned.
Yeah. What single piece of advice, Miguel, would you offer someone who was just starting out getting an affordable watch? Also, I'm going to throw into that mix, I've really enjoyed your accent on San Martin. We would say San Martin, and you said San Martin.
Oh, sorry. I'm speaking Spanish. Well, Martin is, I mean, San Martin, right? Oh, but I'll say San Martin, but San Martin, that's how we would say it in Spanish. Best advice is don't get into the hobby. If I'm being honest, if you care about your wallet, don't get into the hobby. Yeah. No, don't buy things too quick. And that was my mistake. It's you get into the hobby and you just everything you see on YouTube you want, especially the affordable things. Oh, I got paid again. I have $200. I have $300. I have $150. Next thing you know, you have 30 watches and you're like, great. I mean, it's cool because now I kind of know what I like, I don't like, but now all that money combined together could have bought me a nice watch. So I would say slow down. If you have an opportunity to go to watch meets or go to an AD or somewhere where there's pre-owned watches, go check them out, try them on, take them out for a spin if they let you, and just kind of slow down and really kind of focus your attention as to what do you want from this hobby. You want to have a bunch of cool watches? Do you want to have a few really nice pieces? What do you want? And that's a hard question to answer because I still don't know what I want. I have all kinds of different watches from different price points. And honestly, I just get enjoyment out of them. So whatever makes me happy and what doesn't goes on the chopping block and I get rid of, you know? So.
Well, there you go. Affordable watches, they are worth it, depending on your situation. Yeah. Thank you so much, Miguel, for joining us.
Thank you.
Tom. And make sure to click on all the links in the description below going to SoCal Watch Reviews and watch and subscribe all of that. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and goodbye.